Have you ever been really incredibly bummed out that you finished a book? That's my book review. This book is amazing, 10 out of 10, would recommend, would reread, which is saying a lot for a 600-page book because it's 581 pages or so. Y'all need to get your hands on this. It's amazing, it's incredible. I was taken, I was hypnotized by the characters and the storyline. I was, and I'm still fully invested in the past, present, and future of the characters. I just want to know. This is Night Film by Marisha Pessl, and you follow the detective Scott McGrath, who follows or tries to investigate the death of Ashey Cordova, who is the daughter of this infamous, dark, mysterious filmmaker of underground movies, Ashey Cordova. You follow Scott's adventure and him finding about the crime and unveiling everything, and you find out about his history with Cordova and how just so much. The characters, it is both character and plot driven. I am going to get into a bit of a spoilery discussion in a minute, but before, I have to say you will love this book if you like not only detective novels, which I have to say I'm not that much of a fan of, but this was crazy because there's not only detective work, but it's more of an adventure with a lot of dark elements like conspiracies. There's like dark magic or not, maybe, we don't really know. There's a lot, it plays a lot on what is not said more than what is said, right? There's a lot of mystery. This book is very much about finding art on the line between reality and not, if that makes any sense. It is very art driven as well because it is the cinema industry. It's also fun because there are some modern day references. I believe this book was published in 2013, if I'm not mistaken, early 2010s, takes place in present day. There are some fun references, a touch of humor where it is needed to break the mystery and gravity of it all. It is incredible. I cannot recommend this book enough. It is, to this day, the best book I read in 2024. Spoilery discussion time. That's a pretty bad jingle. I love that this book is a mixture of just text and all the pictures and articles like that. It gives it so much depth. And it allowed the book the final nail in the coffin that is the last interview, if you will. Boy, if the last line of the last chapter didn't got me crazy going, that was not even a sentence. See? It wiped out my brain cells clean, and I would listen. But oh my goodness, when Scott sits down with Cordova in his cabin at the very end, and it just ends there, dude, I was not okay. I'm still not okay. I finished this 3-4 days ago. What's going on? Here's what I gotta say. I think that maybe one of the very extremely few, close to zero things I would change about this book. Well, one thing I saw coming is that Hopper knew Ashey, okay? I mean, you have a guy that Scott beats up and gets beaten up by, and then beats up in the place where someone was found dead, which granted, it takes place in New York City, so that could be anywhere, but you go to someone's place of death and someone beats you up and then you beat them up and then team up with them, and at no point are you like, I wonder why they were there. And I mean, I guess he does wonder it, but the fact that the book didn't emphasize more on that to me was just like, I felt like I saw that coming from the beginning. And also I thought Nora would, to the contrary, have a little bit more to do with the Cordovas in some way. What a random, that is kind of what I like about this book. At first I was kind of peeved because I'm like, it's kind of random how Scott found Nora and Hopper and agreed that these two and no one else would follow them, and they wanted to follow him and blah blah blah. But at the same time, it feels like the random strangeness of it all is of all things I want to question about stuff that happens in this book. Maybe that's one of the lesser details. One thing I wish we could have done more is spend a little more time at the peak as well, because the peak is kind of like, it reminds me of the Amityville Horror House. Okay, where in the book and the movie, the house is very much personified and it almost feels like a character of his own. That is how I felt about the peak. There is so much talk about the peak before we get there, and so much happens at the peak, real and surreal, although I feel like we don't really know fully what is real and what was not. But oh my goodness, I wish we could have spent so much more time there. I wish we could have been with Hopper in Ashley's room. Dude, that made me so mad when Hopper told this story, and I was just clenching my fists on the, well, not my fist, but I was clenching the book, right? And I'm like, what happened in Ashley's room? And Marisha Pessl did not elaborate. Dude, man, I wish we could have spent more time there. And the other thing, okay, let me know in the comments if you've read this, if you had been underground with Scott in those tunnels and you get to that intersection and you see Manor and all the other ones, right? I would have gone to the Manor, dude. I mean, you spent so much time trying to figure out where this Cordova is, and you think he might be at his house. And so you get to a trail or a tunnel that goes to his house, and you don't go to that house? Dude, that... Make it make sense. I mean, I guess it would, like, you might be curious about the Devil's Bridge, obviously, given the context, but I don't know. I'm still in a state where I can't decide what I think was told about Ashley, or was told about what was happening to Ashley, is really true. I like how they went with the angle of it's a devil's curse, and then it's like Inez is like, no, it was cancer, and then he's like, well, is cancer the devil's tool? Because it started when she crossed the bridge, and you know, who gets cancer that many times between the age of, was it 5 and 20? Am I mistaken? Like 23, I think she was when she died. But also, if it was the devil's curse, why didn't she die at 27? I think that's the real question here. Why was it 23? I don't know if there's any significance to the number 23. Did she die at 23? Am I zonking out? Highly possible. No, but you know what? I can't get over the fact that this book is over. Like, I was going somewhere yesterday and I was like, all right, I got a long train ride. Let me bring another book. And I started page 1. The story was good, but I was just like, you get so invested in characters and a storyline that it's hard to let go of them after, you know? I mean, I've been reading this book since June. So June, that's like 6 months almost to spend with characters. The most beautiful part of the book to me was when Inez was telling Ashley's story to Scott. Quite random and suspicious that she would just bring him into her house and be like, all right, I'll tell you everything. Okay, anyway, so, but when she was telling people, like when she was telling Scott Ashley's view on art and on life, I just thought that was so beautiful. I should have tabbed them and tell you about it. I'm sorry, but just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And Cordova, I think Stanislaus Cordova is my new fictional crush / wannabe boyfriend. I love him so much. He's so creepy, but I don't know. His perception of the world and everything around him and his way of, I don't know, just, guys, I could talk about this book for hours and hours and hours, but I think I just want to sit with this book, you know? I just want to sit and stare at a wall That's what I want to do. I just want to sit and stare at a wall and just not read any other books for a few more days and let myself digest this. Has there been a movie? I want to check. Has there been a movie? And let me know in the comments if you had been in the tunnels going to the peak. Where would you have gone? The mansion, the Devil's Ridge, some other part? I don't know. Where would you have gone? This book was just so good, dude. So good. Okay. See you guys in the next one. Bye.